Alright, now that we've had some time to settle after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, I've noticed a lot of controversy regarding Nintendo's decisions. Both good and mainly bad, and I thought it'd be fun to play Ganon's advocate and go over all of these controversies. Don't worry, there's gonna be a lot more bad than there is good, but let's start off with the good. So in regards to the good, and pretty much the main good thing we're getting out of the Nintendo Switch 2 is that it's finally competing with current gen hardware. And even if it's lacking in a bit in comparison, it's a Switch, right? I mean, it can be docked if needed and played as a home console, but you can also carry it like a Steam Deck, and it actually competes with the Steam Deck. Hell, it has an even better screen with a higher refresh rate, and it can play games that compete with the Steam Deck, like frickin' Elden Ring, which is the only thing I play on my Steam Deck at the moment, as you can see here with this Elden Ring boot screen. And if you just let it boot up, you're gonna see that the game that it immediately shows is Elden Ring. But the thing is, with the Steam Deck, well, I do love it to pieces. It is pretty outdated in the sense of, like, it is way too big, way too clunky, and while it can do so much and even boot up Linux, it still doesn't feel like a modern, like, handheld console. It feels more like a portable PC to some extent. In regards to, like, the fan being super loud and a 3-hour battery, kind of like a laptop, yeah, it's not the most optimal when it comes to portable gaming, but we all know the Switch 2 will be able to give us a much longer battery, be able to most likely play most of the games that are exclusive to, you know, the current gen systems, including the Steam Deck, as, yeah, again, we are getting Elden Ring for the Nintendo Switch 2, and on top of it, we can play all of Nintendo's catalog of games. So in my eyes, while this was the ultimate Zelda machine, and I loved it to pieces, I think it's gonna be replaced immediately by the Nintendo Switch 2, and to me, that's just so exciting, because yeah, finally we get 120 hertz. I mean, I doubt it's gonna be on every game, but we also get HDR and 4K wind docked, and another plus is the dock is not just a flimsy piece of plastic, it's actually carrying a fan that will cool down your Switch 2, and overall just seems like a major improvement from the Switch 1. This isn't a, you know, PlayStation 5 to PlayStation 5 Pro. This really is Nintendo's next gen hardware, just repackaged as a second successor to the first one. And to me, that is amazing. We're finally playing with the big boys. No longer can PC gamers make that excuse of, oh, I'm waiting for actual HD. Nintendo's not really in HD, or I need that 60K or 60 FPS rather than 4K. We're not there yet. We're light years away probably, but yeah, you know, the 60 FPS on top of, now we get 120. I doubt it's gonna be 120 for like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but hey, at least Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are looking so much better. They look like what you'd see on PC emulation, which to me is just surreal. So there's no longer the whole PC master race. Nintendo is truly competing. Again, PC will always be leagues ahead, but at least in terms of actual pretty good quality 4K, 60 FPS, all that jazz, Nintendo is delivering it, and to me, that is just so insane to think about. It's honestly surreal. But outside of the fact of finally having no limitations on modern Nintendo hardware, which again is a first since pretty much the GameCube, Nintendo has been behind for that long, we're also getting some additional features that, I mean, aren't too exciting for, you know, I'd say younger gamers, but maybe for older ones, that being game chat. You know, right? Game chat is a plus, right? I gotta put it in the good, even though many people might not care. I guess you could just use Discord, but, you know, at least some grandmas can get some use out of it. I don't know. I still think it's a pretty cool feature nonetheless. And one thing I have to say that is just honestly the cherry on top is, while the Switch was kind of the first console that kind of used its gimmick for a positive, as let's be honest, the Wii U was bogged down by the gamepad. The DS and 3DS had a lot of games that forced you to use the touchscreen, which just wasn't fun. And let's not forget the Wii with the Wiimote and everything. Those gimmicks really did bog down a lot of games and just the console in general. But ever since the Switch, we've pretty much got something really convenient out of its gimmick, it being a Switch, you know, being able to play it portably or docked, but on top of it, the Switch 2 gimmick, while still carrying the Switch 1's gimmick, of course, it being a Switch, it also has the Joy-Con, mouse feature, which surprisingly isn't a bad gimmick. I don't know why, but to me, having a new gimmick that doesn't actually ruin the console's experience is just a chef's kiss on top. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, with this new gimmick, it's not really going to take away from any games. Hell, it might just add to the experience, and to me, that is a major plus. But okay, I've glazed Nintendo enough. Let's get into the bad. So of course, let's start off with the elephant in the room, and by elephant, I mean the elephant-sized price that Nintendo is asking of us, and that is what, $450 to $500? I believe the rumor was $450. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, that is pretty overpriced and compared to the actual Switch 1. And yeah, to me, that is a bit worrying. But also, again, with this finally being a competitor to the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck going for $400 up usually, it seems to be somewhat fair. In my eyes, I honestly don't think the Switch 2's price is that steep, and on top of it, I believe I've heard rumors about tariffs being the reason why it's a bit more expensive, like in the US compared to Japan, as it's only going to be 350 an equivalent of yen in Japan, and if that is the case, then yeah, maybe it would have been cheaper if America wasn't so great. So I don't think we can blame Nintendo too much on that, but moving away from anything political, let's talk about the weak lineup, as there's a lot of people who seem to be very unhappy, as we're not really getting a mainline like Mario or Zelda game on release, which seems to be the standard with each and every new Nintendo generation console coming out. I mean, we've had Zelda almost on every single one, and yeah, it does seem kind of like a letdown that we're not getting that this time around, but let's be honest, Mario Kart World is looking so good for a launch title, and plus, I think people are forgetting one thing. Again, I'm playing Ganon's advocate here, and that is that the Switch 2 can still play all of the Nintendo Switch 1 games. So, I mean, the catalog is still already really big. It has all of the games on the prior generation, and then some. So in my eyes, I'm not too worried about the launch titles. I think they'll be fine. Plus, we're getting DK like 2 weeks after, and this Donkey Kong, I mean, it's a bonanza, right? It's looking so freaking good. In my eyes, that would replace the need for like a Mario Odyssey 2 or a next-gen Zelda, because finally DK is back with the main 3D the main 3D game, and yeah, it's looking way too good. And come on, guys, Zelda's always on the mind, but yeah, in my eyes, I'm also not too worried about that. I think it's overall pretty fair. Plus, this Mario Kart World is so much different than any other Mario Kart we've gotten, and we're getting a bunch of third-party releases. Again, games that we've never been able to play on Nintendo will finally be able to play. We don't have to rely on a Steam Deck or a PS Portal, which I do have, but I left at home. Again, I'm in Taiwan, so I was unable to bring my entire setup. But in general, I'm not going to need to bring any of all of this with me anymore. I just need to bring my Switch 2 when I travel, because again, it will be able to play all of these games, again, including Elden Ring and the upcoming Bloodborne 2, not really, but Duskblood, which just looks so freaking good. And it's hilarious that FromSoft is having that exclusive to Nintendo. It makes me think that they're probably upset with Sony having Bloodborne be exclusive at all times and attached to Sony, and never really getting a re-release, a 4K update, a sequel, and now they're just like, you know what, we'll make an exclusivity deal with Nintendo, and to me, that's just absolutely hilarious. FromSoft now has a game that is only gonna be known on Nintendo consoles, and to me, being such a FromSoft fanboy is like a dream come true. So in my eyes, I'm thinking the lineup is fine. All the games that are coming to it are only gonna get better and better, because again, we're not gonna be limited to having to play on other systems. Final Fantasy, all these games, yeah, that alone makes the lineup, in my eyes, not so bad. But speaking of games, another controversial thing is the price, because Speaking of Mario Kart World, it's gonna be 80 smackers, right? That's pretty expensive for a video game. Probably the most expensive we'll have to pay for a game without DLC on day one or whatever. The closest thing we got to that was Tears of the Kingdom, which was $70, and that didn't have DLC either. Hell, it was DLC to Breath of the Wild, so that was $70 DLC. But in my eyes, I don't know, am I in the minority here? Like, personally, I don't think it's that bad. And hear me out before you get upset or anything. Yeah, granted, I don't want to spend more on these billion-dollar companies and all, but the thing is, the way I look at it is like games are costing more and more to develop, right? I mean, look at Mario Kart World as is. There's no Mario Kart that will come close to its scale, right? It has so much to do now. It's almost like a Mario Kart MMO, and in my eyes, especially if it does get free updates, then I think it's worth 80 bucks. Again, we're not guaranteed on that. I'm just speculating again, playing Ganon's advocate, but in terms of like, yeah, when you look at game development nowadays, like Tears of the Kingdom, for example, it being $70, sure, but like it is 10, 20 times size of like Ocarina of Time. And then you may say, well, technology has also advanced so much, so the limitations aren't there anymore. It shouldn't really cost them as much, but not really. We've seen games cost millions upon millions of dollars to develop, and even then they might fall short compared to actual AAA games. And when you do look at it in that regard, I mean, I get it. Like, personally, I don't know, maybe I'm just kind of trying to look at the positive too much, but like, in my eyes, if I have to pay an extra 20 bucks, you know, it's like eating out once, right? Let's be honest, it's pretty expensive to eat even fast food. That's like one meal I'm not gonna eat. I'd rather not eat that one meal than not get Mario Kart World. Like, come on, guys, come on. You're telling me that the Starbucks drink that you get every morning, that literally will end up adding up to freaking, you know, well over several $100s if you literally get it every day in a month, then that's more worth it than, you know, like getting a new game that can give you endless joy and literally hours upon hours, hundreds of plus of hours. Like, that's another thing. I mean, we argue saying, okay, well, game development maybe isn't as expensive, or let's say it is, or whatever it may be, but like, how long have you played Ocarina of Time compared to like Tears of the Kingdom? You've literally probably put in hundreds more hours in Tears of the Kingdom. So in my eyes, that's worth the extra 20 bucks, right? At least that's how I see it. But again, I may be in the minority. Let me know what your reasoning is in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Main reason why I'm making this video. But speaking about having to pay more for games, let's talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games that seem to have you pay almost like DLC to play the improved version, like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild in 4K. Now, yeah, that is a little bit upsetting, but again, to play Ganon's advocate, if you are a Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass, you know, subscriber, you get them for free. You don't have to pay even an extra dime. And, you know, as one, I guess, who is that, I can't get upset in any sense, because I'm not going to pay any extra. I already own Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. I own the Expansion Pass membership, so when the Switch 2 comes out, I can just download those games like that and play the 4K Nintendo Switch 2 edition. So, again, in my eyes, there is a silver lining to this, but I do get why people are upset that you're going to have to pay more, when in reality, just owning a Switch 2 should give you those updates. Like, that's what Sony does. There's always a pro mode, like, update if you do own a PlayStation like 5 Pro or 4 Pro. There would be some games that literally had an update exclusive for that would improve the quality. You have to pay extra dollars. So I do see where Nintendo is a bit cheap in that regard. But again, at least if you're a Nintendo drone like me, you don't have to pay an extra dime. So I guess that's the plus. But another bad in regards to purchasing games that I can't justify whatsoever this time around is the fact that if you do purchase physical games, you're not really getting them physical anymore, you're just getting them digitally. As Nintendo pretty much has the new cartridges for the Nintendo Switch 2 working as a game like kind of key that you put in and then it just gives it to you almost like a code. And to me, that is really upsetting. Yeah, it will work on multiple Switches and you can, you know, share it to your friends in a sense, but they still have to have the game key inside. So you still get the physical aspect in terms of like if you resell it, yeah, you'll be able to get the full game, but you still have to download it. And to me, that makes no sense, especially when they are literally actual cartridges. Like, I understand with Blu-ray, like, let's be real, this has been going on for years now. Sony and Xbox pretty much don't sell you games anymore. They sell you a game key that's on a disc. You put it in, and then you download the 100 gigabyte Call of Duty game, and they only have like 12 on the Blu-ray, right? Okay, fair enough, but like, the Nintendo Switch cartridges are literally SD. They're literally, they can store terabytes if they want to. Why are they not doing that anymore? Like, now I have to have an online connection no matter where I am, even if I have a physical game, to download that game. And that to me is so scummy. Yeah, even trying to play Ganon's Advocate, I can't. Like, come on, shame on you, Nintendo. What are you doing? Like, you are the only company that still uses actual, like, cartridges. And again, these cartridges nowadays hold terabytes worth. Again, the SDs that we're gonna be putting on our Switch 2, we can have up to like 2 terabytes, right? So why can't you just put the whole damn game on the cartridge, Nintendo? Come on. Another really scummy thing that I won't be able to defend Nintendo for that also lines up to what I just mentioned is SD cards themselves. Now you have to get express SD cards. Luckily, they're still developed by SanDisk, and hopefully they'll be in quantity, but it does make me worry a bit because it's reminding me of the PS Vita / PSP route Sony went that literally killed off the system because so many people wanted to get games digitally and they really couldn't because they were like, you know, held back by how much memory they could have, because trying to buy the proprietary SD cards that Sony sold were so hard to get. You wouldn't be able to find one without paying double, triple the price from scalpers. And it worries me that now the fact that we can't use normal SD cards that work on the Switch and we have to get these new express ones, yeah, they almost seem like they're proprietary on Nintendo's end. But again, I'm hoping with SanDisk developing it, we won't have that issue, because usually Nintendo always has issue with scalping. But I'd like to think a company known for literally making storage memory, you know, will be up to date and on that, because again, when it comes to buying any of the Nintendo exclusive SD cards from SanDisk, they're still easy to get and you can get them for a fair price. So again, I'm trying to play Ganon's Advocate here, but I still think it's a bit lame. Why are we moving on? SD cards work on every other thing. They're super fast, they're super reliable, they're better than anything. Why do we need these new ones? Why can't I just pop out the one from my current Switch and put it into the new one? It just seems unnecessary, completely unnecessary. I can't justify this either. Another thing I can't justify, and yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said there's a lot of bad, but it is locking the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour game that they showed off behind a paywall? Like, what? Like, literally, PlayStation has had similar concepts where you play as Astrobot in a PS5 type setting and you get to see all sorts of, you know, features and concept with the PS5, and eventually they made an actual Astrobot game that won Game of the Year, which was really nice. But yeah, Nintendo has made a really charmless version of that for the Nintendo Switch 2 called the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and it's not welcoming whatsoever. I mean, come on, Nintendo, you want us to pay for that? I feel like every Nintendo Switch 2 user should have that for free because we bought the Switch 2, dude. Welcome us to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, why are you locking this behind a paywall? I don't get it. Like, some things I feel like I can just defend Nintendo for, but some is just like, who thought of this? Like, who, you really want money for this? Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, dude. I don't care how quirky and fun and cool it is. Bro, screw you. You're really gonna have me pay for that? I'm good. Like, I'll pay for games. I'll pay above and beyond for a game I genuinely am passionate about. And I've said that earlier, but like, this is a stupid gimmick concept that just shows you, I mean, granted, I would have loved to test it out, but like, no, I'm not gonna buy it if you're gonna charge me even 20 bucks for it. That is not worth it. It should be free. And because of this, it honestly worries me. It makes me think the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna be very bare bones, similar to the Switch 1 in the sense of like, it's not gonna have any charm or quirkiness to the actual menu, and it's just gonna be software, eShop, Nintendo Switch Online. That's it. Nothing else. Those are the 3 things you get to experience. There's no, you know, me Plaza or something to create your Mii that looks a lot more creative than literally the same thing that you get on like the actual website when you have to create your Mii, a white background with just the options and that's it. Lifeless, literally lifeless. I'm worried that this console is going to be just as lifeless as the Switch One. Nintendo truly has lost their charm from the Wii U, the 3DS, the Wii, the DS days. Like all of those had actual atmosphere to the themes and menus and everything going on. And I don't know, just seeing the fact that Nintendo is taking something like the Welcome Tour and not having that integrated in the Switch 2 is just beyond me. But anyways, to sum up, I do understand the frustration many are feeling in regards to Nintendo and their decisions regarding the Nintendo Switch 2. There is a lot to worry about. Again, Nintendo doesn't really seem the same anymore, but at the end of the day, their games are still very much timeless and worth playing in my eyes, and that's why till this day, I'm getting a Switch 2 on release. That all of the controversy in regards to it will not stop me. I still see the potential, and I honestly don't really think it's gonna backfire as much as people are thinking. I mean, remember with the PS5 Pro, as mentioned before, yeah, a lot of people thought, oh, it was overpriced, oh, Sony literally has no idea what they're doing, blah, 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 but it still sold decently within its first month. Hell, it was only like 12% behind the sales of the PS4 Pro, and it's like double the price of what the PS4 Pro was. So, I mean, a lot of people still bought it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are going to be people who are going to buy the Switch 2 regardless of the price, of the game prices, of whatever Nintendo's decision is. And sadly, I am one of them. I would like to kind of send a message with Nintendo, and the best way to do it is with your wallet. But at the same time, I am genuinely looking forward to this. After 8 years, I do think it is still worth getting. Again, I get it if you want to hold out, if you want to wait for maybe, hopefully, something political as well to change to maybe have them be cheaper, or if just hopefully Nintendo realizes and tries to kind of, you know, dumb down the price a little bit to not make it much more expensive. I get it, but like for me, it seems worth the price day one. Mario Kart World seems worth the price day one. Donkey Kong, same thing. I'm excited for these games. I know that may upset others, but like for me, at least coming in, I'm jaded, I'm cynical, I'm a hater most of the time. People literally look at me as a hater when it comes to Nintendo and Zelda, if anything. So I do look at the bad first before I look at the good, but I still see the little bits of good that warrant a reason to kind of invest into this. So again, that's my opinion though. I would love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments below. I just really want to kind of get this off my chest because yeah, lots to say, lots to discuss. When the Switch 2 does come out, I'm going to be streaming it day one, all sorts of content. May get a little busy as my kid is due around that time, also due in June. So, you know, we'll see. And maybe he'll be born on the Switch release date. I mean, that'd be insane. But regardless, whatever happens, I'm going to make sure to try to be there as much as possible in terms of content, and I hope you guys are excited for that. We're going to be playing through Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom again in 4K, baby! And yeah, overall, I'm super excited still for what's to come. But again, let me know what you guys think, and please leave a like on this video to show your support and help support the channel in general. I would really appreciate it, for real. And yeah, make sure to check out all the other videos, like my reaction to the Switch 2 Direct along with Zeltic. We reacted to it together. I'll be having a longer discussion with him on Zeldoots. Also check that out in the link in the description, and check out all the other videos that are to come. Make sure you're subscribed. I'd really appreciate it. But anyways, that about does it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.